In this video, I'm going to explain all the doors and all the things that have opened up because I decided to buy a Rolex. Now, a lot of people think that whenever you spend a lot of money on something, the doors are magically going to be opened and things that were inaccessible to you in the past are going to suddenly be accessible to you in the future. Well, I can tell you that that's a load of horse manure.
Manure! I hate manure!
And it doesn't matter if you have $1 million watch on your wrist or you have a $10 watch on your wrist. A watch is a watch, and nobody really cares. I had a friend, the reason I'm doing this video is I had a friend come to me and say, hey, I'm having this major life event occur, and I really want to signify this moment in my life, and I'm thinking about buying a Rolex. And I told him, I really sat and I thought about it for a period of time, and then I really broke down everything that a Rolex means to me, what it meant to me in the past, and what it means to me moving on in the future. Now, I bought this 2011 50th anniversary Rolex Kermit over a decade ago, and I bought it at retail. Now, I was on a wait list at an authorized dealer, over a decade ago, and it only took maybe a month and a half after I got back from deployment to actually pick it up. If you look on the market right now, if you look at Chrono 24, you look at Bob's Watches or something like that, something similar with the same serial number series from that year, it ranges anywhere from $15,000 to $19,000, and it was, I think, $8,400 when I bought it. That being said, could I sell it and make a $10,000 profit? Sure, $1,000 a year in appreciation is actually a pretty good deal when it comes to watches. Now, that being said, I would never sell it simply because I could never afford to buy another one. I couldn't sell something for $20,000 and then a couple years later be like, I really regret selling my Rolex Kermit, so I'm going to pick another one up. It doesn't even matter if I have $100 million in the bank. I, coming from a poor background, couldn't see myself spending twice as much on a watch that I originally purchased for $8,400, but is now $20,000. I couldn't, even though I sold it and I made a profit, I couldn't see myself spending that money again when I know that I could have just kept the watch that I had and just kind of sucked at the regret and never bought another one. I just can't do that. So I'll never sell it simply because I couldn't do that to myself again. That's a personal thing. So I started to explain to my friend sort of how wearing an expensive watch works. Right? Like when you put on an expensive watch, and Alpha M, Aaron Marino on Alpha M has explained how, when he bought his first Rolex, it was a milestone for him, and then he wore it and he felt almost like Superman, right? Walking into a room, you suddenly have this confidence now. You feel like, I've finally made it. I have some value. But having an expensive watch doesn't give you any value. You give yourself value. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter if you wear, like I said, a $10 watch or a $10,000 watch. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. We went to Las Vegas. I brought this specifically to wear when we were shopping around at the boutiques. I wore a really nice polo, a really nice pair of linen shorts because I love actually looking good. I'm going to do a couple style things on this channel in the future simply because wearing watches and style and just like watches and cars. I'm going to do a video on how watch guys are also car guys. They go hand in hand with certain things when it comes to watch collecting. So I wore a really nice polo, linen shorts, nice shoes, a nice watch, a good haircut, and I spent my time getting myself ready because I was like, you know what? If we're going to walk around and spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, I'm going to look the part. Even though I don't come from money, I don't have a lot of money right now, I'm going to look the part. And I'm going to, dress nice and have nice things. And I can tell you that nobody cares. Nobody. It doesn't matter if I didn't wear a watch, if I wore an Apple Watch. I did start talking to this guy while I was waiting for my fiance to buy a purse, and I noticed he had an Apple Watch on, and I thought that was kind of funny. And that's just how society is now. Things have evolved so much to where nobody really cares. You could be worth $1 billion wearing an Apple Watch, and you could have $1 million watch in your watch collection at home, and you wear your Apple Watch every day. It is how it is. and wearing a $20,000 watch on my wrist didn't get me anything more than if I didn't wear a watch at all. Right? Nobody cares. Nobody even noticed. In fact, one of the things that I've noticed owning a Rolex is like my mom bought a Lexus, a really nice Lexus, brand new. I think it's a 430. And I didn't realize how many Lexuses there were, the 430s out there that are an $80,000 car until she had one. And then I noticed there's 6 in the Walmart parking lot, or there's 12 at the mall, right? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's like how could there be so many people buying $80,000 cars, and yet they're everywhere. So once I started really wearing my watch all the time, I, of course, as a watch guy, start looking at other people's wrists, and I noticed that, hey, this guy's a Rolex on, and I'll even tell him, like, hey, you know, that's a really nice deep sea. And he's like, thanks, and he turns around and walks away. Right? Nobody cares. The people who buy Rolexes are the people who really who aren't involved that much in watch collecting, right? They buy a Rolex because that's what they should do, because they think that that's top tier, even though it's not. I've had a lot of arguments about how Rolex is mid-tier. It is 100% mid-tier. It is not high tier or high horology at all. We can argue back and forth, and I'll prove you wrong each and every time. Just because it's a $10,000 watch or a $20,000 watch or a $50,000 watch, only now with the brand new release of the Rolex Daytona that's $50,000 did they finally do a decorated movement with an open case back. Other than that, the 3135 is a workhorse movement, but it in no way is more valuable than a movement from Oris, right? If you look at the stats side by side. So all that being said, you're paying for the crown, and that's what people do. They pay for the crown of the Rolex. The people who wear Rolexes are not watch people. They don't wear them because this is a high quality watch. They wear it because it's a piece of jewelry, like a Cartier bracelet, right? They wear it because it's a piece of jewelry that gives you a status symbol. And honestly, the status symbol that it gives you is almost nothing. Nobody cares. So that's what I told my friend. I told my friend, like, the people who wear Rolexes are pretentious. They have money. They don't understand watches. And if you want to buy a watch that's even going to last a long time, buy something that's a little cheaper, that you're not paying over retail on, and then you're not going on some imaginary wait list and waiting years to actually buy one. If you are into watch videos, you'll know that everybody almost says the same thing about Rolex. It's just not worth the money. If you own a Rolex, hold on to it. But buying a Rolex moving forward, it's just not worth it. The people buying Rolexes now aren't watch people. They're people who buy it for jewelry purposes only, maybe to signify these big life events because that's what people used to do. So it's a tradition moving forward. I gave him a list of watches that I personally would rather purchase outside of a Rolex. I even said, you know, it depends on whether he wants dress or sport. He ended up wanting something sporty. That's why he was looking at a Rolex, or something that's kind of like an in-between. Like we were talking about a Rolex Datejust. And you can dress up and dress down a Rolex Datejust. It's almost like the perfect watch for dressing up and dressing down. But he could also get something like an Omega Aquaterra that does the same thing. So him and I were going back and forth, and I was trying to explain to him that I can even go as low as a Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 right now, $700 on the market. It has a Swiss automatic movement. The Powermatic 80 is a 4 hertz movement that has been tuned down to 3 hertz, so it's 21,600 vibrations an hour to give the 80 hours of power reserve. If you know anything about the Powermatic, that's kind of how it works. And I told him, I said, you can buy this watch for $700. Tissot is a brand that has history behind it. It is a Swiss movement, or it is a Swiss watch. Sapphire crystal, full stainless steel, right? Beautiful watch that if he gets serviced every 10 years is going to last just as long as the Rolex. So why spend the money on something just to have a brand on your wrist? Now, I, growing up from a very, very poor household, used to look at brands as something that, again, gives you more validity in your life, but they don't. Nobody cares. The people who actually wear branded things are the people who are trying to flex money they really don't have. If you see a guy wearing a $1,000 Gucci shirt, right, that says Gucci across it, and he's got the Gucci shoes and everything like that, that person may have a little bit of money, but they don't have a lot of money. You hear the term new money and old money thrown around a lot. But even someone who has new money, who's worked hard, who's come up and has, even these people who have worked extremely hard, who have come from nothing, built an empire, and is now worth, we'll even say $100 million, that type of person still sees value in the stuff that they buy. $20,000 for a $10,000 watch isn't that valuable. It could grow, it could go up in value, but if you look at value per wear, like the clothing I was talking about, a $300 t-shirt from Armani that has similar cotton to a $30 shirt that I buy over here at the Gap, and I get the same amount of wears out of them. We'll say I wear it for a summer and then I got to throw them both away because they're both falling apart. Which one was worth more? The $300 shirt that now is thrown away at the same time the $30 shirt was thrown away, and they both were worn the same amount? No, of course not. The value is on the $30 shirt, and you've thrown money away on the $300 shirt. I'm not saying that Rolex isn't worth buying. It is at retail, and that's it. So, coming full circle back around, what did I learn from buying a Rolex? That nobody cares. And save your money and don't buy one, because most people who buy Rolexes buy them because they think it gives them status, and it doesn't. And if you really do like Rolexes and you're like, oh, I love Rolex and their history, buy a Rolex then. Most people don't buy Rolex because they love the Rolex history. Most people don't buy Rolex because it's the best dive watch on the market, because it's not. They don't buy a Rolex because it's the best dress watch on the market, because it's not. They buy Rolex because of the crown only, because it says Rolex and it's a marketing thing. So spend your money on whatever you want, but I really think that it's a waste. So what did I learn? I learned that spend your money somewhere else, because you're just going to blow your money, especially in today's world. Anyway, if you like videos like this, a quick rant, leave a comment down below of the content you guys would like to see. Got a lot of videos coming out in the future. I get a lot of people asking me about Rolex, especially the people that I know, because they know that I own one, and I tell them the same thing. Even though I own one, I've owned one for over 10 years. Moving forward, I would never spend my money on another one. So that's why I'm doing this video, just to have kind of a heart-to-heart to those people who may be lusting after something like a Rolex, and I think it's just a waste of money. I really do, right? It's just like buying. People would say, well, Chase, but you own one. You own a Rolex. So why would you tell people not to buy one? Well, I could own a Range Rover like I explained, and I could spend $30,000 fixing it over and over and over again, and I could tell you don't buy one because it's a piece of garbage. In fact, my buddy owns a Rolex no-date Submariner, and it has been back to Rolex 3 times because of issues that it's had, quality control issues in the movement, in the seal and the crystal, and then on the bracelet. And you're like, okay, so he spent $8,000 and he was on a wait list for this watch. He actually called me and said, Chase, should I buy this? I was like, if you can get it at retail, absolutely, because you can turn around and sell it. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to buy it. He bought it. He's had nothing but nightmares with it. And I don't care what anybody says. They could say, well, Chase, this is anecdotal. This doesn't happen all the time, except that it does happen a lot more than people want to think, just like the Range Rover. Well, not all Range Rovers break down. Yeah, but they have a history, and everybody knows that it's a money hole. It's a money pit. So I'm telling you guys right now, just spend your money somewhere else, because it's not going to make you happy, and that's what you think. Anyway, make sure you guys hit that notification bell. I have a lot of videos coming out in the future. Look forward to a video every 2 to 3 days, and I'll see you in the next one.